We're now beginning two-variable statistics, and we're starting with categorical data. All right, there are going to be two videos on categorical data, and the rest will be on numeric. We're talking about marginal distributions and conditional distributions. Let's look at an example. Here we have the most years of school completed by age. So this is what we mean by two-way table. Right? One way is age categories. The other way is years of schooling completed. And if we get the data, it looks something like this. So this is probably the result of some survey which was conducted. The first thing we're going to look at is marginal distributions. What do we mean by margins? Well, that's going to be these areas over here and this area down here. And what we're going to do is add up going across to get those numbers, that margin. And then what we can do is add down to get those totals. And of course, what we can also do is add these down or these across, and we get the grand total. So this is clearly how many people were surveyed total, 175,230 people surveyed, quite a lot. In order to get the marginal distributions, what we're going to do is take each of these age category totals and divide by our grand total, and we get our percentages. We can look at that as a bar graph, not a histogram. Right? Histograms, the bars actually connect to each other. It's a continuous axis. This is a bar graph. So if we go back, we can see 22%, 47%, 32%. Now, what is it actually telling you? 22% of what? 22% of everyone surveyed were 25 to 34. So it's really important to label your bar graphs. This is percent in each age category. Now, if we look at our next margin, right, we can do the same thing. Take our totals, category totals, divide by the grand total, get our percentages, and we can graph those. Now, 16% represents what? Well, 16% of the grand total did not complete high school, 33% completed high school, and so on. Whoops, and that's not what I wanted. There we go. That's what I wanted. So your bar graph looks like this. 16% did not complete high school, 33% completed high school, and it's titled percent in each age category. So those are the marginal distributions, and there are always two of them because there are two margins in a two-way table. Now, if we go back to our two-way table, let's talk about conditional distributions. Now, that's going to be inside the table. Notice that the margins are outside the table. Conditional distributions are inside the table. So what we're going to do is take our individual element here, 4472, and we're going to divide it by our category total. Right? And then we're going to do the same thing with this whole column. They're each divided by the category total. Right? And we can get our percentages. Oh, we're going to do it to the other categories as well. And we're talking about age categories, right? Because there's two different ways of doing this. Right? And we can do this age category. And now we can get our percentages. And what we're going to have is three different bar graphs. And these are what are called conditional distributions. And it looks something like this. There we are. And you can see here's the 25 to 34-year-olds, the 35 to 54, and the 55 and older. Right? And we can look at all of the different distributions. And they're all, did not complete high school, 1 to 3, and 4 above. And you can look for patterns. You can see, are some similar, are some different? Is there any evidence for association between age and years of school completed? It's often very helpful to say it out loud, or at least verbally. All right, let's look at this first one. 12%. What's this 12% represent? Well, 12% of 25 to 34-year-olds did not complete high school. All right, so this one distribution is talking just about 25 to 34-year-olds. That's why it's called a conditional distribution, because this distribution is the condition of 25 to 34-year-olds. All right, and that's true for the other two distributions as well. Now what we can do is look at organizing our conditional distributions. Instead of down, we can organize them across. All right, so instead of 4474 being divided by this category total, it's going to be divided by that category total. And it looks something like that. And of course, we'll do it with the other ones and get our percentages. There we go. And how many distributions are we going to have? We're going to have 4 of them because we're going across. All right, and there are 4 different rows. All right, and so it's going to look something like this. All right, and we have 4. All right, here this is one did not complete high school. This one completed high school. This is 1 to 3 years. This is 4 or more years. Again, saying it out loud is helpful to make sense out of it. 16% of those who did not complete high school were 25 to 34-year-olds. So again, you can look for patterns. Is there any evidence for association? You can actually see, and this was true for the last one, I didn't really mention it, that from completing high school, 1 to 3 years, 4 years, these are all very similar. But in fact, here this didn't complete high school is quite different. So that's an important pattern to recognize and say, well, it seems that the older age, 55 and older, seems to have a higher percentage than the other age categories.